But this yarn is a company in Las Vegas, Nevada, I don't know, whatever you say. Hi everyone, my name is Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to the 39th episode of the Love and Stitches podcast. Today is Wednesday, November 7th, 2019, and it is pitch black dark outside. I think it's like 5:45 right now, and it's completely dark, which is so different from last week. It's super weird. And I think a lot of people talk about the time change and are very affected by it. And I'm totally one of those people. I've been feeling super tired lately. Wintertime is always kind of just a little sad when you don't get to see the sun. But luckily I have these nice bright lights that are making me a little bit toasty. So I might take this scarf off in just a little bit, but I'm really happy because this time last year I wasn't podcasting, but at the beginning of 2019 when I was, and it was dark, I would rush home on Wednesdays and try to record with the little light that I could get from the window outside, and it was difficult. So I'm really grateful that I can get home and relax, and then just when it's dark outside, use these bright lights. No big deal. So I am drinking tea again, even though it was 75 degrees today, which I can't complain because it was absolutely so nice. It wasn't sunny, it was a cloudy day, but I'm still drinking some tea. I got this mug on a trip to Colorado this summer, and it is handmade there. And I am drinking my More Plum Deluxe tea. Maybe if I start drinking these every episode, I will start going through it faster because I get 2 of these a month and I'm having a hard time keeping up, which of course I could just pause my subscription or only get 1 a month, but I really like the tea and I don't want to miss out. So for right now, I'm going to keep getting them. But this one is Cocoa Lavender Herbal Chai. And it's not my super favorite. I don't love the taste of lavender, but it's pretty good and it's caffeine free, so perfect for right now. But earlier I was snacking on these. My mom sent me and my husband a Halloween holiday package just for fun, and it arrived on Halloween, and these were in there. These are brownie flavored, and I'm not eating them now because one, that would be incredibly rude, and I'm not eating them on breaks because it would put chocolate in my teeth. But those and cookies and cream. She sent me tons of coffee from Fresh Market, which is, I know it's in Tennessee and other places, but we don't have it here, at least where I am. So that, goldfish, gum, just fun snacky stuff from my mom, which was really great. But let me tell you what I am wearing, and then I might just take it off. I was wearing this today at school, and full disclosure, I'm totally wearing my sloppiest pajama bottoms. These, the pants that I'm wearing that you can't see, I think were my husband's in high school, and they're absolutely oversized and terrible, but they're so comfortable. So if you can see them, that's what I'm wearing underneath. But this is the Tallulah shawl by Amba O'Brien, and I did not knit this. This was a gift from my friend Brooke. She knit this for me a couple of Christmases, maybe a few Christmases ago, and I know that it is out of Miss Bab's yarn. I think it came in a pack, and I absolutely love it. I wear it all the time. It's the perfect shape. Here, let me do a little rearranging, and I can then show you. So it's just the best shape that I thought I wouldn't love, but absolutely love. Sorry if this is making tons and tons of noise. If it's making tons and tons of noise, then I might just mute it, and all you'll see is my mouth moving, and maybe I'll put some words at the bottom of the screen. But it's this, how do you explain? Where are you? It's a very shallow V. Can you see that? Very shallow V dip right there in the middle, and then just a real gradual taper down each end. And I thought that this would be awkward to wear, and it's not. It's absolutely perfect. So I really, really like this shawl. So I'm gonna take it off though, but I was wearing that today and it was very comfy, and it's always fun when people knit stuff for you. People think that knitters and crocheters like wouldn't want a hand knit or crocheted gift because they can make it themselves, but that's not true, because a lot of times you would make them something that they wouldn't, or like maybe they don't make for themselves very often. So you should knit for your knitting friends. Okay, let's go into whips because I don't have any finished objects this week. So I have a new sock cast on. It's in my cute little bag from Molly Klein Design that I take with me to Disney. And I cast on some new socks. I actually have the tag here. So this yarn that I'm using, here we go. This yarn is Tink Yarns, and the colorway is called Holiday Nights, and I'll explain that in just a second. But this yarn is a company in Las Vegas, Nevada, I don't know, whatever you say. And my husband got me this yarn from Sin City. I think there's Sin City Yarn Shop. Sin City Yarn Shop. It's a yarn store just outside of Las Vegas, or in Las Vegas. And he got me this yarn when he went there for the first time a couple holiday seasons ago for a football game. And it's called Holiday Nights because it looks like nighttime and holiday colors, but has a K because it's for the Las Vegas Knights, Golden Knights, which is their hockey team. So that's why it's called that. But I just started a new pair of just plain old vanilla socks. The color is really, really cool. And I was looking for a yarn to cast on socks for my mother-in-law for her birthday. Her birthday is December 1st, and so I figured my November socks would be perfect to knit her a birthday gift. And so I thought that these would be colors that I think she would really, really like. So I've just barely gotten started, just working on them in the morning at school. And I've already picked out this stitch marker, which is from Simply Serving, my favorite. There we go. And it's just a cute little hot cocoa Christmas mug with like a candy cane handle. So really, really cute. So not much to say about these, except I'm really happy that I ripped out my Halloween. Actually, there it is, right there. Last week I ripped out a pair of socks, and here it is, all back in the ball. And I'm really happy that I did that, and now I can start fresh, clean November socks, and I don't feel guilty about it at all. So really happy to have a fresh pair of easy sock knitting on the needles. Okay, I have two other whips that I have been working on for a little while. One is I think my brain is messed up today. Can't think. What is this called? Like a Cloud. My Like a Cloud cardigan has definitely seen its time on this podcast, but I am working on it. I'm on the sleeves now, and I'm hoping to actually finish it before the end of the year. The end of the month would be nicer, but definitely by the end of the year. So last week I had inserted a Halloween stitch marker just for fun. I did most of the ribbing last week, and man, that took me a lot longer than I thought it would. I brought it with me on Saturday for kind of like our football day out. We went to Dallas all day, and I just brought it around with me, knitting while we sat in bars and restaurants and watched football, hung out at friends' houses, everything. And it took me all day. Oh yeah, I brought it to the Dallas Stars game on Saturday night, knitted on it there, and man, I didn't bind off, I think, until Sunday. So yeah, I shouldn't have been surprised, but it took me longer than I thought. And then I got started on the first sleeve. So this pattern, I will put it on for you, is a drop shoulder. It's a really simple construction, except that I did have a hard time picking up the sleeve stitches. So if I ever made this again, when I did the front and back pieces, I think I would try maybe slipping the stitch on the sleeve edge so that it would make it easier for me to pick up my stitches when it got to that point. But who knows, I might knit it again someday. But it's fitting pretty decently, and I have a lot more to say about that because I have totally picked the incorrect size. So it's not supposed to close, it's supposed to be very open. Plus I knew that picking a size for my bust would make it not like much tighter on my hips and everything. So yeah, it's gonna grow a little bit, it's gonna grow a little bit here. But you can see here's where I picked up the stitches. It's definitely a drop shoulder. You can also see that I have quite large sleeves going. So let me sit down and talk more about that. So when I bought this yarn, it's Shibui, and I've got my tags right here because I'm so prepared today. Shibui Sima is the lace weight, and Shibui Silk Cloud is the mohair, and you hold those together. So when I first bought the yarn for this, and I looked at the sizes, the size that I really measured for was going to mean that I would need an extra skein of each, or 5 skeins of each yarn. And if you know, Shibui yarns are not super cheap. They're definitely like a luxury yarn. And so I thought, you know, since it's an oversized sweater and it's sized to be oversized, I can probably make one size down from what my bust measures for. It just won't be as oversized. Then I can just buy the 4 skeins of each yarn. So that's what I did. And so I kind of cast on knowing that it was going to fit a little more snug than it was designed to be, which is okay. You can definitely make those changes. I just made sure that I still made it long enough for myself and everything. And since I knew that it was going to be a bit snugger, I knew that the shoulder wasn't going to drop as far as it would if I'd cast on the appropriate size. So I thought, you know, I think I need to make my armhole a little deeper to accommodate for that. So in my mind, it was going to drop like right here, and this measurement is not the same as like this measurement around. So I thought, well, I'll make the armhole deeper. I'll just make it the next size up. Well, I accidentally made it like 2 inches too deep. And I was like, oh crap, whatever, I'll just start the body. And so I just joined it. This is all like, you know, this was just the summer, but I'm still learning things. So anyway, I made the armhole way too deep, and I think that we always think that especially with arms are weird. Like I always think that they need to be bigger than they really do. Like sleeves can be pretty skinny. Like I don't want my sleeves to be tight, but they definitely don't need to be like big and floppy and loose, especially on a sweater. So even though that looks like really small to me, when I put it on, there's a lot of extra room. So I had to do a few things to kind of accommodate for my armhole. So here's the other side. So this is what I did, and you can do this. Well, what you should do is pick the right size and then knit it the right way. Number 1. But if you don't, if you've got just like a straight seam like this on the side, you can actually close up some of the armhole before you even get started. I have 0 shaping here. I wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think, if I had shaping. But in theory, you could just take some of the yarn and sew up until, like this is 8 inches. I think I was supposed to have like 6 3/4. So I could have just sewn up to there and then been good to go. But I didn't want to close it up quite that much. So this is what I did. I picked up all of the stitches all the way around here, and I didn't do it according to the pattern. I just picked up like 2 out of every 3 stitches. Saw how many I had and which size that correlated to. Then I decided I wanted to go ahead and rapidly get rid of like an inch. So to make this easiest on myself, I actually wanted to do a 3 needle bind off. So then I wouldn't have to use any more yarn. I could use the yarn that I'd already done the pickup with. So to do the 3 needle bind off, you have to do it on the wrong side. So I turned the sweater inside out, like fed the balls of yarn through, and then did a 3 needle bind off on the first 4 stitches. So 4 stitches from each side. So then I lost 8 stitches, and I had basically like seamed it up a little bit. And I flipped everything back inside, right side out, and I started knitting. And so that right away got rid of like an inch of extra armhole that I had accidentally knit. And you can see it here. There we go. Let me find it for you. You can see it. Oh, that's really hard to see, isn't it? Hold on. Right here. That's where I did the 3 needle bind off. I don't know if you can really, I mean, you can definitely see it, but it's not like super noticeable. And then you're supposed to knit straight for so many inches, and instead of doing that, I'm starting the decreases right away. So like I'm pretty much right here, and I'm already decreasing all the way down, probably the entire sleeve, just to make it fit. So I'm fudging it as I go along. Like I said, I picked a body size too small and then armholes too big, so I'm trying to balance those things out as best as I can. I think it's gonna fit still. It'll definitely loosen and stretch, so I'm not super worried about it. I just don't want like a really huge arm sleeve, because that wouldn't be cute. So anyway, there you go. That's my Like a Cloud cardi. I don't even think I said this is a pattern by Joji Locatelli. It's a great, well-written pattern. I would just, next time if I make it, I would slip the stitches here so that they would be easier on that sleeve to pick up. All right, lastly for whips, I've been working on my Starflake MCow, which is by Stephen West. And this is a super fun shawl. I didn't do a ton of work on it this past week because, I don't know, I just didn't. I was working on my Like a Cloud cardi and starting new socks and doing who knows what. But I'm using Madeline Tosh in 2 colors. I'm using the Twist Light in As Ever, which is a pink, and Dirty Panther, which is a charcoal gray. So let me show you that. Since last week, I finished Clue 2. Oh, this is a mystery knit along. I'm thinking that most people have seen it by now, or you didn't know it was a mystery to begin with, but just in case, I have started Clue 3. In case it's still a mystery for you. It's super bunched up on the needles. I'm still like on 32s and probably need to change it, but I haven't, and that's okay. So since last week, I'm trying to find my stitch marker here. It's always like the wrong way that it needs to be. There we go. I was right there where my little owl is. My little Hedwig. So I finished the brioche section, which was clue number 2. And then I started working on clue number 3. And I have done, this is so brilliant. This, which is like a wing, and if I had this on a better needle, I could show you this better. But these are short rows, sort of stockinette and garter short rows, which kind of fill in both sides of this shawl, because basically we've created this like star-ish thing, and then we need to start filling it in. So we're doing a short row triangle here, a short row triangle here, and then some in between, which is just so genius. So I've done the little short row triangle on each side of the shawl. You can see they're touching because I'm on the tiniest needle I can possibly be on. And then I have started doing the little tiny triangles that go in the middle. So actually, I guess I've just done one of those, which is right there. So then I'm going through and I'm putting these tiny little peachy pink triangles throughout the shawl. And then after that, I don't know. I have seen what it looks like, but I haven't looked super close at anybody's online. So I'm excited to see what that turns out to be. Someone messaged me a little while ago and said they saw 2 people wearing their finished shawls at, I think, Vogue Knitting, and that they were huge. And I thought, perfect. I love a huge shawl. So this baby is gonna be nice and big and cozy, and I cannot wait to wear it. Okay, so I knew I was gonna be pretty short on knitting content this week. So I went on Instagram to my stories and said, ask me questions that you have knitting related or non-knitting related to help me put some more content on my podcast, and I will answer them. So I got, let's see, this has only been up for about 5 hours, and I got a bunch of questions already. So I'm going to answer the ones that I got before I started recording this. And then if you had a question that you asked, since Instagram stories are up for 24 hours, I will try to answer that over on Instagram. Or maybe I'll grab them and save them for later. If I ever want to do, maybe in the future, I'll do like a bonus episode where I'll just answer questions. I'll probably do that on Instagram again because I got a lot of responses from you guys. So thank you so much for doing that. All right, since there are a lot of questions, I'm going to answer most of them quite quickly. So here we go. All right, I got 2 questions that were similar. You might have said this before, but when and why did you start knitting? And somebody else said, who taught you to knit? So I will kind of answer those, or I'm sorry, when and how did you learn to knit? So I will answer those together. So I started knitting when I was 13, I learned to knit. And I started knitting because I saw I was at a ballet camp in Houston, Texas at the Houston Ballet, and I saw this girl that was knitting on something, and it just kind of like piqued my interest. She was kind of quirky and interesting, and I asked her what she was making. I don't remember what she said. Anyway, that summer I went home and asked my grandmother to teach me to knit. And so she taught me the basics. She taught me the knit stitch and then the purl stitch. I didn't know how to bind off or how to cast on, so I was utterly reliant on her. Somewhere between when I was 13 and learning and when I was 16 and started working in a yarn store, I just kind of took to it and I just made a bunch of like garter stitch squares where I would sew the bind off. It was terrible. And somewhere along those lines, I learned new skills. I don't really know. I think I used some books from the library because YouTube was not a thing then. But yeah, it just kind of took off. And then when I started working in a yarn store when I was 16, that's when my world of knitting just exploded. I learned so much from other people, from helping other people, just from being in that environment. So that's when I started knitting, and I guess kind of why I started. I don't know, I just picked it up. It just came at the right time when I was quitting dance, which was my first love. And I guess I needed something else to replace it. And who knew that I would be this obsessed for this long? I certainly didn't know that. Okay, what brought you to Texas? I know your family lives in Tennessee. Just curious. Okay, so the quick answer to that is work, but I'll give you a little more detail. So I grew up outside of Nashville. I went to school at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. When it was coming time to graduate, I did not know what I wanted to do. And my senior year, I'd started working for an organization called Teach for America. And I was a recruiter for them, which is funny because in the interview, they asked me, will you apply to Teach for America to go teach? And I said, no, I'm never gonna be a teacher. Why they hired me, I have no idea. Basically, Teach for America is an organization that takes high-achieving college graduates, whether most of them are just out of college, but you can be further out of college. But college graduates puts them into high-need areas to teach for 2 years. So it's a lot of urban settings, it's a lot of rural settings, typically Title I schools. And so I guess in recruiting, I kind of convinced myself to apply. I just didn't know what to do. And so I applied to Teach for America. I got in and I was like, I want to go somewhere different. What about Dallas? And I knew one person in Dallas. I had never been to Dallas before, and I decided to go there. So I moved to Dallas a week and a half after I graduated from college, trained all summer to be a teacher. I was not a very good teacher my first year. A year after that, I met my husband, and now I am stuck. So that's why I came from Tennessee to Texas. And yes, I am still a teacher, and yes, I am shocked by that. I never thought that I would teach beyond my 2-year commitment to Teach for America, but here I am, still teaching. Okay, what is your favorite needle? Is it interchangeable or fixed, and how do you wind your yarn? Okay, my favorite needles for the longest time have been Knit Picks. They're wooden interchangeable needles. Now, if I'm knitting socks or something, I have a different kind of favorite needle. I like metal Tri-Goo needles, red lace. But for most projects, if I'm using like a 3 and up, I'm probably going to use a wooden Knit Picks. I think they're called Harmony. And I've had my kit for like 10 years and it's still good. And I got it, and then a few years later there was like a rumor that they were getting rid of them, and so I bought a ton of tips and cords, and I have enough to last me a lifetime, except I keep breaking the 4s and 5s, so I have to get new ones every few years. I said I was going to be fast at these. I'm clearly not very fast, am I? Okay, how do I wind my yarn? Depends. If I'm knitting socks, I will usually hand wind it. So, trying to balance my computer here. I'll usually wind it into a ball like this. And I still have on my list of tutorials to make how to wind yarn for self-striping. I haven't forgotten about that, but it's on my list of things to do. If I'm winding pretty much anything that's not a sock, I will wind it into a cake. I'm grabbing my ball winder behind me here. Sorry. So until last year, I had a plastic ball winder I'd bought off Amazon. And then this year I got this one, and I absolutely love it. So this is and actually my Swift is from the same company. I think it's called Fiber Artist Supply Co. And you can buy from them directly off their website. When I got my Swift, I think they were selling on Etsy still. This is a beautiful, beautiful, quiet, amazing wooden winder. You can wind nice big skeins on here. I haven't truly tested that yet. I don't know how big of a skein, but there's definitely a decent amount of space because this, I'm not going to move it, but this will move out. This was about $120, which I know is a lot of money to invest. I think that's how much it was. It's a lot of money to invest, but if you are someone like me who buys their yarn traveling around and doesn't have that like local yarn store that they go to all the time that you can pay to wind your yarn or whatever, this is a good investment. So I will try to remember to link that company down below. The Swift that I have is much cheaper than that. I want to say I paid I think under $40 for it, and it's an Amish Swift, so basically you can just sit it on any surface. I usually set it on the floor or the ottoman, put your skein, your hank of yarn on there, and if you want to hand wind it or wind it on the ball winder, it is absolutely great, and then you can fold it up to store it. It is awesome. Okay, try to be faster, Natalie. All right, have you ever thought about designing a shawl that is both knit and crochet? Sometimes, but I worry that I will lose people that aren't knitters and crocheters. I think that knit shawls could definitely benefit from a crocheted edging. So tell me your thoughts. Would you do a combo knit crochet pattern? That could be something I could do in the future. How much time do you spend with knitting in a day and in 1 week? I loved that question. It had me thinking throughout the day. I would say I probably spend 1 to 3 hours every day knitting. That would be a weekday. And I usually get 30 minutes of knitting in the morning when I am standing doing my morning duty at work. I'm a teacher. I usually get at least 30 minutes during lunch. If I am on top of all of my planning, I will also knit a little bit during my planning period. So we're definitely up to an hour. And then I typically at night can knit at home on the couch, or if we go out somewhere, I will knit. So I would definitely say I'm getting probably most days 2 to 3 hours of knitting time. On the weekends, it just depends, but it's usually more. I will just bring knitting with me absolutely everywhere. I love this question too. This is from my friend Brooke that knit me that scarf I was wearing in the beginning. If you only had to knit one type of project for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? That's a fun question. You should let me know your answer to that below. What type of project would you knit if you could only knit one for the rest of your life and why? I want to hear your answers to that. That's a good question. My answer might shock you. I would 100% knit shawls for the rest of my life. And the reason I would knit shawls is because I think that you can do so many different stitches, so many fun techniques, so many colors, and you just don't get that with other types of things like a garment or socks. I would not choose socks. You can have a really simple shawl that you can bring around everywhere. You can have a really complicated shawl that you can, do all the fun, exciting techniques. So I would only knit shawls for the rest of my life if I had to pick one. Okay, who taught you to knit? That was my grandmother. And what is your favorite yarn? I don't really have like a favorite yarn, but I have a favorite base, which is fingering weight, either 100% superwash merino or 75 merino, 25% nylon. That just seems to be what I have been gravitating towards for a while now. Okay, made it through one page of questions. One more. We're getting faster. Okay, somebody said, are you a Predators fan? And the Predators are the hockey team in Nashville. I am from Nashville. And no, I'm not a Predators fan. I'm not a Predators fan, but I am a Dallas Stars fan. So when I lived in Nashville, I pretty much lived there from 4 to 18. We didn't really pay attention to hockey in my family, so I didn't grow up a fan. And then when I moved to Dallas and I met my husband, he was really into the Stars. So now I am also, by association, into the Stars. So I know the players, I go to the games, I have 2 jerseys, like I'm in it. If you ever need somebody to be a fan of your team, I'm like the best person because I will give you my loyalty, but then I stick with that. So I'm stuck with the Stars here. Okay, how do you store your needles, especially circular needles? I wish I had taken a picture of this. Maybe I can put one in. I have one of those like hanging things from Lantern Moon that basically has slots in it with labels for your needles. And so I just slide the circular needles through there. Those aren't really the circular needles that I use a lot. I really just use my interchangeable knit picks, which I have a folding case for from Erin Lane Bags. So maybe I can snap pictures of both of those things. I will try to remember to do that. I will try. But yeah, that's how I store my circular needles. Honestly, I probably need to do a purge because there's some needles in there I don't love, and I can bring them to school and give them to some of my students who knit. Okay, I always love hearing about people's dream knitting. What are they dying to cast on? Okay, the first thing that just came to mind is a Joji Locatelli sweater. I think it's called All of the Lights. It's a variegated pattern. Or speckled. I think the yarn is speckled. It's got all of these cables, beautiful, beautiful. If I just could, if you just came and wiped out my yarn stash and wiped out my projects and said, you just have to cast on something new, I think I would pick out yarn and start knitting All of the Lights because, yeah, I really like that pattern. I would love, love, love to make it. I don't know if I would do a variegated. I have a gray somewhere down below that's in my sweater yarn stash that I thought might be perfect for it. So we'll see, maybe one day. All right. This was a continuation of that question. What are you dying to cast on, or your progress on your Make 9? Well, I did not make a Make 9 this year. I learned from last year that just doesn't work for me. I had all these dreams to make sweaters and I made like one sweater, and that's where I'm at this year too. And I would have loved to have made more sweaters, but for whatever reason, when I try to make that a reality, it's just not for me. So I don't know. You just kind of have to roll with what you're enjoying at the moment. Okay, a few more. I would love if you could talk about brioche, tips, tricks, things you wish you knew before. Okay, I'm glad you asked that. I actually have a tutorial about basic brioche stitches. It's not out yet, but it's recorded and it's going to be in my next shawl pattern, but it's also going to be public on YouTube. I think I'll probably put that out in December as I'm gearing up for my shawl pattern that has brioche in it to be released in January. But brioche, this is what I wish people would know about brioche. All brioche is yarn overs, knit two together, and purl two together. Like, that is all brioche is. So it can seem very, very intimidating. And I think one of the reasons why it gets a bad rap is that it is hard to fix. Like, if you were to drop a stitch, it is difficult to learn like the anatomy of a brioche stitch and how to fix it, but it doesn't mean your project is ruined because you can always just tink back. So that's what I wish someone had told me about brioche, that it's only yarn overs and knit two togethers and purl two togethers. They have different names, but that's all that it is. So brioche it's not as hard as you think, and I will have more tutorials about brioche coming soon. Okay, are you excited about Disney Plus streaming coming next week? What's your favorite Disney movie? So yes, I'm waiting on the Disney Plus thing to see if it lives up to the hype. I don't know if we're gonna get it or not. We already have 2 streaming networks, Netflix and Hulu. So I don't know. It's hard because we don't have cable, but then you start like collecting all of these different subscription channels. You have to be, choosy if you want to stay on a budget or not be overwhelmed. So I think we might try it out. We've definitely been getting some coupons for it. So we'll see. Favorite Disney movie? That's a really hard one, but I think I'm going to pick my favorite, I don't even know. I was going to say my favorite classic Disney movie, but even that's hard. I think my favorite maybe Pixar movie is, what's it called? With the emotions. Oh, there's Toaster. Oh, not Inside Out. Inside Out. I love Inside Out. I love how brilliant that was with all of just like the psychology of everything in it and like how kind of accurate the references are. I think that's a great movie. So if you've never seen Inside Out, you should watch it. It's a really good one. 2 more questions. Have you tried knitting socks with double pointed needles? Yes, that's actually how I learned to knit socks. When I learned to knit socks, I think like everyone, at least in my world, were knitting socks cuff down. They were knitting heel flaps and gussets. And so knitting socks on double pointed needles was a really good way to learn how to knit a basic sock, because with the double pointed needles, you could rearrange things the best way to do like your heel flap and your gusset stitches. And so it was really a good way to teach people. So that's actually how I learned. It's not my preference anymore, but it's a good way to start. Okay, last one. Do you know which project you will use for your Advent minis? Yes, so I have an Advent calendar coming from Dragon Horde Yarn and Yarn Cafe Creations. I'm super excited. And I will be making granny squares again. So last year I got their Advent calendar and I made a small granny square every day. I have you might know already how to make a granny square, but if you want specifics, I've got that as a pattern free on Ravelry and free on my blog, and also a video tutorial here on YouTube. So yeah, it's a really easy one. And so I'm gonna make a bunch of those again, one from every day, and then one year I will join them into a blanket. Okay, that's all the questions. So let me regroup here with Toaster and I'll be right back. All right, so as far as news goes, I don't have any new videos that came out this week. Sorry about that. I just got a little busy last week and I didn't have time to record a new video, but hopefully I will have another tutorial coming out next Tuesday. We'll see, because I haven't recorded it yet, but I have a couple ideas in mind, so we'll just see which one makes it out there. But I do have a pattern to give away. So last episode, Molly of Molly Klein Design donated a copy of her new pattern, which is the Autumn Mountains cowl. And I went through the comments on last week's episode and randomly selected a winner. And the winner, and I wish, it's funny because I see usernames and names common ones come across all the time, people who comment regularly or I talk with on Instagram, and I feel like I know you, and then I go to say your name and I don't know how to say it. And I hate that I don't know how to say it, so I'm really sorry if this is wrong, but I'm gonna put it at the bottom too. So the winner of the Autumn Mountains cowl is Libby, or Leanna, or Leanna. I don't know, but you are the winner. So just if you will email me at knittynatty@gmail.com and let me know that you won the Autumn Mountains cowl, I will make sure to include to your Ravelry username, or if you prefer Etsy, just let me know and Molly will get that over to you. So congratulations, and thank you for everyone who entered to win that cowl. Okay, so I just have a couple of life things and then we'll wrap right up. So this week, on Monday, I went on a quest to try to find some work pants, which I talked about a couple months ago, and you guys gave me so many good suggestions for places to find good work pants. And so I went to Ann Taylor Loft, and then that was kind of like where I was hoping to find pants, and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. I need some that are long and not at ankle length, and that just seems to be the trend right now. So I gave up there and I needed to run an errand at Target, and I stopped in the parking lot and saw there was a Marshall's, went in there, and all they had was like the stretchy kind of work pants that I see advertised all over Instagram. Those do not look good on me. Like, I'm just not the right shape. Like, I think my hips are too big and my knees, like, they go down too much. It just doesn't look good. But I tried them on. They were definitely comfortable, but they just weren't the right style for me. Then I went over to Target and they literally had nothing. Target had the weirdest clothes. They had a bunch of super trendy stuff, nothing that was like simple or wearable as far as work pants went, and it was just horrible. So I was super frustrated because I just don't like running errands or trying on clothes anyway, which is why I do my shopping mostly on Amazon. And so I came home on Monday like bummed that I didn't find anything. So still on the lookout. I think what I'm going to do on Friday afternoon, I have a big pile of clothes and other things to donate to Goodwill. I think I'll take those over there and then stop in the store and see if there's anything that can work for me as work pants. So it's worth a shot. Kind of in the same realm, I've been really this week looking at minimalism, which I'm not thinking that I'm gonna like go full force on or anything, but there was a person on Instagram called the Minimal Mom that I started following a couple weeks ago, and it's just been really interesting to watch her stories. She's got 2 little kids. They just moved from one sort of like condo apartment to another, and it seemed like their move was like a snap. And I know it's the Instagram world, but they just really don't have but everything that they need, and it was really interesting just how they live their life like not bogged down by all this extra stuff. And then she suggested watching a documentary on Netflix called The Minimalists maybe. And so I watched that, and that one was good. There was lots of good nuggets in there, and it was a pretty short watch as far as like documentaries go. It was just over an hour. So I think that there's a couple books I want to read coming off of that documentary, and I'm just consuming a lot of information about the minimalist movement and deciding like where I fall in that kind of spectrum. Yeah, so that's been something that I've been exploring a lot this week. And on Friday, I have the day off because I have to go get a small little eye procedure. So it's nothing major, but I have something on my lower lid to be removed. And so that'll be interesting. I've never had a procedure like that before, so I'm a little bit anxious to have it done, but hopefully I can spend the rest of the day relaxing and maybe knitting if I'm not too tired. So just things that are bringing me joy this week. I am still, this weekend I was able to get up and work on definitely Sunday morning, but I think Saturday a little bit too. No, I think just Sunday morning, my granny stripe blanket. That's still the only crochet project I have going. I'll put a little picture in because I did not bring it over with me today, but it's just been nice to have like even half an hour to just work on simple and lovely crochet to start off the day. So that's definitely been bringing me lots of joy. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching another week. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing some of those questions to kind of make up for I feel like I did a lot of knitting, but not a lot of like different kind of knitting. So hopefully you enjoyed hearing the answers to those questions. All right, I will see you guys again next week. Bye.